All right, welcome. So this is a bit of a different video. We're going to be going over sort of epistemic justifications. This is just going to be a short video, but this is going to basically be going over some of the basic stuff when it comes to how we ground reality, how we ground ethics, how we ground these things, and how we justify relying on things like immaterial concepts, things such as the good, the bad, morality, these types of things, even using the laws of logic. Because the laws of logic are immaterial, but they're immaterial laws that have to be true because of the impossibility of the contrary, you understand? So an apple will never not be an apple. 2 plus 2 will never equal 5, it will always equal 4, these types of things. So let's kind of get into this first thing. So take a look here. You have atheism. Now, I'm not going to have you read all that, but these are the notes that I've taken, so we'll just kind of go over this. So atheism, I'll only be going over 2 parts of atheism just for the purpose of the video. But it consists of 2 things. So you have materialism, which is the belief that only the physical world exists. So the entailment of this position essentially results into this. There is no prescriptive claims. There can't be. There's only descriptive claims. Meaning there's only oughts, there's no is. Or, sorry, there's no oughts, only is. So there only is what is. There is no good, bad, right, wrong, immoral. You can't even say someone's wrong for doing something. You can't do that because it's all subjective. And that brings us into the next thing. Subjectivism. All morality is subjective, which means the entailment is that all moral systems have to be equal. So you can't criticize Muslims, you can't criticize Jews, you can't criticize Christians as an atheist. You can't do it. Because their moral system actually has to be just as good as yours, because it's all subjective. You understand? So that's the first thing that you kind of want to get there first. But then let's get to this next thing where when we actually ask these atheists to justify their epistemology, to justify reality, when we tell them you are relying on the laws of logic, which are immaterial concepts that you are relying on as a strict materialist, which you have to be if you're an atheist. So how do you justify using those things? What they'll tell you is reality is reality. They'll tell you reality is reality, which doesn't make any sense even from the get-go. So here's the first part. It doesn't actually answer the epistemic justification question, which is, okay, it's cool that you're using an immaterial concept to justify your use of immaterial concepts. That's fine, but that doesn't tell us anything. So what they're using is the law of identity. And so if we can get the thing here, you see right here. So first we have reality. Reality is a precondition of the law of identity. So in order for this to be usable and valid, this must first be the case. And in order for you to say reality is reality, you must be using the law of identity. So that is the attempt at epistemic justification, you understand. But here's the problem. That then brings it back to the base of you are using a law of logic, which in order to even use, you have to presuppose reality's existence in your answer of how you justify reality's existence. It's one big circle, which isn't allowed in strict atheism empiricism. You're not allowed to have circular arguments. That's not allowed. So it's begging the question. That is the thing in question. You're using the thing in question to answer itself. We're asking you the justification of that thing. You understand? And so this brings us to our next part, which is Christianity. Because I think it's fair that we need to actually delve into Christianity and talk about these types of things. So Christianity allows both materialism and immaterialism, meaning that it believes that there is a created and uncreated world. You understand? So there's God's creation and then there's God. Those are the only 2 things. Those are the only 2 things that exist. So there's an eternal world, so to speak, and a non-eternal world. Let's put it that way. So oughts and ises are possible under the Christian purview. As well as this, we're objectivists. Now, specifically Christian, Orthodox Christians, Protestants tend to fall into the trap of, oh, well, they're just as valid as us. No, they're not, bro. No, they're not. They can't be. It's not possible. Objectivism relies on an unchanging standard for morality. So theft will never not be wrong, murder will never not be wrong, grape will never not be wrong. None of these things are ever going to not be immoral. You understand? Meaning that only one moral system is the correct one, and all of the other ones are false. They have to be false. Now, this is the Christian attempt to justify reality. All epistemology must be grounded in God. Now, take a look at it again. So first, we have God. God is the precondition for reality. And then reality is the precondition for the argument of reality is grounded in God. Now, for the slow boy atheists, they're like, oh, dude, you just use a circular argument, man. You're right. We did use a circular argument because we understand that on the paradigm level, that's unavoidable. It's what I like to call unavoidable circularity. You understand? Because if you believe in God, if you believe he's this ultimate, all-powerful, omnipresent, timeless being who's not bound by the laws of creation because he made them, you understand this? Then he is the ultimate circularity. You have to actually resort to him for all justification. And he does not need justification. He is the justification, you understand? So he is the justification. You see here, that's just the basics of the notes. I'll have probably more notes later on. Possibly going into more theology type stuff, that type of thing. But I thought I'd just kind of start out with this basic stuff and, go from there. Jay Dyer is a really good one to check out. Jay Dyer could explain this way better than I can. You can find him on X Spaces all the time. He's live pretty consistently. It's pretty rare that he's not on there. So you can go check him out and see about all this stuff. But once again, just to run through this one more time so you guys understand. As a quick summary, atheism relies on pure materialism. There is no immaterial concepts. They're not rational under the atheist purview. And in an attempt to justify relying on the laws of logic, for example, they say reality is reality, which doesn't work because not only is it a circular argument, meaning that you are begging the question by relying on the very thing in question to justify itself, i.e. reality, but that doesn't even answer the question of justification in the use of immaterial concepts under atheism. It doesn't address that question at all. Whereas under the Christian purview, we understand that at a paradigm level, you have to be circular. It's the unavoidable circularity. You understand? That's the basic rundown of it. Perhaps I could have done it in a less crude way, but this is just kind of something rough that I put together real quick. With that being said, if you guys want more of these just kind of basic rundown videos, stuff like this, let me know.